So, Fire Emblem Engage is weird. I'm just gonna call that out right now, just in case you didn't see the title, if I have the same title. I really like the game, but it's a mixed bag, mostly stemming from the pacing and the writing. But don't worry, we'll get to that. So, for the most of the Fire Emblem series, it has been developed by Intelligent Systems, a quasi second-party development studio to Nintendo. I say second party because they basically only make video games for Nintendo systems, but they are not part of the Nintendo brand. Almost their entire catalog, excluding a handful of games, have been published by Nintendo. Anyway, this is actually the correct pronunciation for this company, I am not kidding. Is the main developer for Engage, with Nintendo overseeing the production. And there's more to the background stuff, but I want to talk about the game itself because I really like it. So this is where Engage really shines. If you're not totally familiar with the Fire Emblem series, it's a chess style kind of game. The games are part of the strategy RPG genre, where you have a grid system and you have to move your units and destroy the enemy with weapons, magic, and skills. Win battles and you get experience points for your character units, and eventually you can level them up and evolve their skills or reclass them for different ones. Each unit has a certain limitation of where they can move and what they can do. Some units can fly over mountains and terrain, while others are affected by bodies of water or can't pass through the wall. Each unit has strength and weaknesses dictated by their class. If you like games like Advance Wars, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Into the Breach, most likely you'll enjoy Fire Emblem games, and Engage is a really good SRPG. It has all you need and want from this genre. It also more or less continues all of the tropes the series is known for. Character relationships, weapon triangles, and permadeath are here for fans of the series, and they're pretty integrated into the gameplay loop. When you gang up certain units on an enemy, you increase their support for each other, if they have that option, and eventually you can unlock support levels and conversations between them. This allows those units to have nice modifiers the next time they're tag teaming a chump change enemy. This also bodes well for your version of a Lear, where you can pick someone for them to romance, but you can only choose one, so obviously you pick Ivy or Yunaka. There are a lot of permutations of support. It's a nice treat to see the conversations between certain characters, so it has that certain kind of charm. A nice thing is the continuation of being able to redo your moves that was introduced in 3 Houses. The time crystal allows you to undo your unit or entire turn, so you have a chance to save a character from death if playing on permadeath mode like a sicko. Having this rewind feature to redo certain actions makes it more accessible and save you time and headache from replaying the entire battle again. The hub world is kind of a small breather for in between battles. Most of the activities help with slightly increasing a stat for one battle or increasing support between units. Here you can also modify your weapons, play mini games, and clean rings. This is like filler content of sorts. I don't mind it too much, but I do think sometimes some of the stuff is a bit weird and out of place, especially with the backdrop of the world being conquered by an evil monster. But sure, Ike, let me have Tamara clean your ring right now. So yeah, that's basically the gist of the gameplay. Wait, the rings. Of course, a core change for this game is the inclusion of emblem rings. This is where the secret sauce is at. I'm going to give the story side of the game in a later part of the video, but basically the emblem rings are reincarnations of main characters that appeared in previous Fire Emblem games. You have Marth, Ike, Lucina, Byleth, Corrin, the list goes on, and what makes this ring so essential to the gameplay is the special abilities packed within these rings. Each one has their own unique usage and ability that they can be paired with any character you have in your roster. So having certain characters fill a certain role, you can use these rings and create a wombo version of them that just makes them even more deadly. It also creates a much more engaging gameplay where you can really experiment. Pair Byleth with any character, and when their goddess dance is ready to be used, you can grant another action to the characters. Lynn's special is a burst of arrow attacks, which is so deadly to flyers. Lucina's all for one allows all units within 2 spaces to wham on the poor bastard of a boss. These rings are so powerful, and any character can get paired with these rings, which makes it even more fun. I loved it, but because of the possibility where you can make units OP, enemies have gotten a noticeable buff. Certain bosses have to be defeated a few times over in order to knock them down, so chaining together special attacks just makes those moments memorable. Damn, you know what? This is a pretty good game. It's fun, enjoyable, doesn't bog you down with too many systems, and wants you to feel powerful. It's everything the gameplay should feel. But the story. So here's the rough part about Engage. Now, stories in video games are subjective, and a lot of them are serviceable and okay. Fire Emblem is known to have epic storylines within their games and notable characters who become instant fan favorites. In recent entries with Fire Emblem Fates and 3 Houses, there have been branches to the storylines. Engage returns to having a singular one. But this is where it drops the ball here, and sometimes to the detriment of the entire game. I'm not going to spoil over the entire plot. It's a hero's quest, so Alear is the main character and they need to round up all the friends they can make and work together to defeat the big bad dragon. If you know Fire Emblem, it follows that classic blueprint. The nice side of the coin is that Engage is more or less a greatest hit store. Characters from previous games are in here and they fill the role of their spirit being in these emblem rings. Possessing these rings grants unimaginable powers. Yay, the story is more or less melodramatic at times, but it's okay at first. The issue comes from the pacing, writing, and execution of the finale. There are a lot of drawn out cutscenes that really interrupt the flow of the game. Miss Bubbles commented how she got burnt out from going back and forth with cutscenes and gameplay. And yeah, I don't blame anyone about it. Those cutscenes are really long and can be tedious. And a big reason why they feel so long is the writing. I know games of this caliber aren't literary classics, but for the most part, the series has been engaging, with interesting characters and extraordinary moments. But Engage's writing is like uneven. At times it sets up exciting scenes and story beats really well, but then the payoff is so blah. There are many examples with many characters, but 2 late game moments paint the game's writing issues the best. Spoilergate. Please go to the next session if you don't want to see or hear it. So, Zephia and Sombron are the 2 villains here, with Zephia serving Sombron, the ultimate big bad of the game. There's a lot more to them, but the egregiousness stems from their deaths. Zephia is a bit like Dom from Fast and Furious movies. She's all about family and protecting them. I can totally dig that. I love characters with dimensions. She does real bad stuff during the events of the game. She causes tragedy for our heroes, and her family first motto is eroding by the minute. So when you finally defeat her and leave her to die, she has this long drawn out conversation with another character about her regrets. She didn't realize what she had until it was gone, and it's like, girl, you served a ruthlessly evil dude and killed good people who trusted and love you. There was a lot of build up to fight her. This cutscene felt so forced to give her this kind of small cathartic moment of sorts, and it was too little too late. This also happens with Sombron, and his is even worse. So Sombron is like evil personified, and sure, fine, I get it. This was working for the first 25 chapters. They drum up the evilness of this dude, and then again, when you defeat him, he has this moment where he gives a speech about his true motivations. We're supposed to feel a bit bad about how he became this obsessed husk of a being. Now, this backstory is actually intriguing in theory, but they handle it poorly with the execution. Sure, cool, I get it. It does give some humanity to Sombron, but also like, this is too little too late. Some people will say, hey, this is a bit of lore. We learn more about the tragic mistakes of Sombron. He's a foil to Alear. It gives context to his motivations. No. If you're going to develop him as a tragic character, do it during the game, not at the end with the exposition dump of his emotions. And he gets the opportunity to have the heroes feel sorry for him. If you didn't know, this dude is literally evil as hell. This was bad, and Engage was full of moments similar to this where awkward pacing and long drawn out scenes of characters telling us directly what is happening in the game without showing us. I'm not going to pretend that other Fire Emblem games aren't tropey, but at least they had decent writing and engaging characters with decent execution. Ham-fisting important motivations and details at the end where we spend 25 chapters getting amped up to conquer a villain and then, oh, he just wanted someone to understand him. I get it. Story details aren't positive or negatives, but with how Engage tells this story, it felt as if it wanted us to feel sorry for Zephia and Sombron. And guess what? Sombron got what he wanted more or less. He died happy. He died happy after we spent 25 chapters experiencing his evilness and how vital it was to defeat him. And Engage decides to explain his motivation and desire right at the end, and he gets to die as if he found what he has always desired. Man, fuck him. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Not sure if you could tell, but yeah, I didn't like the writing of this game. I'm sure there are people that like how it turned out for XYZ reasons, but they're wrong. Engage's writing doesn't elevate the experience. It is a bit of a detriment to the game though, because if you're into the stories in these series, this is one where it may feel like a pain to get through. It was a slog playing through Engage because of melodramatic cutscenes that interrupt the gameplay. Again, it does have a lot of tropey details, but it worked in other games of the series. And here, it just didn't really hit. Anyway, in conclusion, this game is alright. If you want to skip the cutscenes, the gameplay is peak Fire Emblem. Engage does a lot of things really well, setting up epic battles, inviting you to experiment with all the tools and resources at your disposal, and gives you the opportunity to play with some fan favorite characters. The strategy elements within this game is fantastic. I had an amazing time when I was playing this game, but the pacing and writing really bogged the experience down. I do hope Intelligent Systems figures out a way to refine the gameplay within Engage and bring it back for new entries. It was a blast to feel powerful and chaining together powerful combos onto bosses. And if you like strategy RPGs, and if you have a Switch and you need a game to play, Fire Emblem Engage is going to be a good time when you're playing it. Maybe skip the cutscenes, or at least be prepared to roll your eyes sometimes. To put it all perspective, I do recommend playing Fire Emblem Engage. It is great Great for the series, great for fans, play it. What do you think about Fire Emblem Engage? Is it your cup of tea? Did you like the story? Was I wrong about that part? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you also like and subscribe and follow me elsewhere too, that'd be cool. And as always, thank you for watching.